We are waiting for the students for last 10 minutes, but only 3 students turn out. I think we should not wait more for the students and we should begin with what I am going to talk with you about the elements of drama, which is the last important unit of our discussion, where we can conclude the first unit and move to the another unit in tomorrow's lecture. So let us begin with the elements of drama. Now, friends, there are, as we know it very well, that all the dramas share certain basic elements with which the playwrights and even you can say the producers used to work on with. There are 6 important elements of drama which we need to understand it very carefully: plot, characters, settings, dialogue, movement, and themes. These are the 6 elements that we need to understand it very carefully. Now, in addition to this, modern drama is having lighting, costume, music, makeup, all those things, props. But when we respond to a play, we observe the elements of drama in action altogether. And the total experience of that drama is rich because of all these 6 elements coming together. Most of the time, what happens, we are not aware of those elements of drama, which is most useful when we are thinking to analyze the play, when we are thinking to talk about that particular play, when we are trying to elaborate that play. These elements helped us a lot to elaborate the whole play. And that's why elements of drama, these are the most vital elements that makes us to understand it comfortably. The first element of drama is plot. Now, usually when somebody says plot, in our routine understanding of plot, we used to say that plot means there is a space where you build your house. That is a very common and usual understanding of plot. But if you look out very carefully, plot is the most essential term in drama. Aristotle mentioned it that plot is the most important part of any drama. Plot is a term for the action of a drama. Plot implies that the action has certain shape and a kind of form it has. And this shape and form ultimately satisfy the audience. Generally, a careful plotted play begins with a kind of experience, a kind of, you can say, a typical kind of narration of story. If you see very carefully, if you want to make a quick and simple definition of plot, we can say that apart from the term used for action, if you want to define it, and if you see, my friends, that this element of drama is common for anything which is having a narration. For example, novel, film, epic, or any narrative literary work is having this particular kind of element present in it. So we cannot say that there is no plot, because plot is actually the sequence of interconnected events within the story of a play. Interconnected events within the story of a play. It is not simply an account of what happened in the story. It is not so simple that, okay, whatever is happening in the story means plot. No. Apart from this, plot reveals the cause and effect relationship between the events that occur, the event that took place before and the event will come afterwards. Plot reveals the cause and effect relationship between the events that took place in the story. This is how we can say in simple words, plot. Now, if you look at it, the very certain additional details, if we try to find it out about plot. The plot of a story not just explain what happens, but how and why the major events of the story take place. Plot used to explain all those things. Now, let me bring you out one small difference between plot and story. This is what we always get confused. Plot, perhaps the best way to say what plot is would be compared to the story, because the two terms are very closely related to one another. And as a result, what happens, many people often use the terms interchangeably, because we don't understand what is the difference between plot and story. And we use those words interchangeably, but they are actually different. Please understand this. A story is a series of events and it tells us what has happened. This is what we call it as a story. A plot, on the other hand, if you want to understand what it means by plot, on the other hand, tells us how the events are connected and how the whole story is unfolded in the way that it is unfolding in front of us. In a very famous essay written by E.M. Forster, Aspects of Novel, when E.M. Forster wrote that essay, he uses the following example. I'll give the example that he uses there in explaining us what exactly there is a difference between story and plot. What E.M. Forster wrote in his very famous essay, Aspects of Novel. Because as I say you, that plot is common to both novel as well as fiction. So in understanding the difference between the two things, let us see what E.M. Forster said. The king died and then the queen died. Okay? The king died and then the queen died. Now it is a story. Now once again I'll tell you, the king died and then the queen died out of grief is a plot. Please understand this difference. I'll once again repeat it. The king died and the queen died is the story, my friends. And if you see this line once again, the king died and then the queen died of grief is a plot. Now, what did you find in these two statements? The time sequence is preserved, but the sense of casuality, why it happens, overshadows it. Again, we can say the queen died, no one knew why until it was discovered that it was thorough grief at the death of the king. Now, this complete line is a plot with mystery in it. Therefore, when examining a plot, it is helpful to look for the events that change the direction of the story and then consider how one event leads to another. The relation of one to another helps us to understand what kind of drama that it is taking place. If you see very carefully, plot always depends upon the conflict between the characters because it is related with each other. Plot carries conflict and it reached to a kind of end where the very famous performer and theorist who developed a theory of performance theory, Richard Schachner, Schcheneur, that is the spelling of Richard Schachner. Richard Schachner mentioned that every plot comes to an end and there is a closed end and open end. Closed plot and open plot. What is closed? Where you will find out the perfect end given by the playwright, that then it is going to be an end. But an open end where you will find out there is a continuous, you can say, that depends on the audience's perception. How audience perceive it, how audience understand it. So Richard Schachner mentions this because if you look at the structure of plot, because every plot, as we see, interconnected events and those events are being narrated, so it is a kind of narration. So there have been people who have tried to analyze and describe the structure of plots. The very famous and well-known attempts articulated in the general structure of plot is by one of the very famous 19th century German writer Gustav Freytag, Freytag. Gustav Freytag, he argued that all plots can be broken down into 5 stages. And he has given a pyramid. I'll show you that pyramid. I'll share that pyramid with you so that you can able to see Gustav's pyramid. And if you see very carefully, this is how Gustav Freytag shared the pyramid. This is the pyramid he has given. Now, what is the pyramid? The first part of pyramid is exposition. He divided this particularly into the 5 acts, and if you see the 5 acts of the play that was part of drama up to Elizabethan age, and later on the Victorian and modern plays, they were written in the 3 acts. Now the plays are in 2 acts, and now there is a concept of 1 act also. So if you look at Freytag's pyramid that you are watching right now, Freytag divided the plot into 5 different stages. The first one is exposition. Exposition, where you find out that how and what happened before the play began. It is a kind of explanation. Exposition is a kind of explanation. It is explaining the thing to you, that because drama is not having any background or anything to show you directly on the stage because of its time constraint. As we have seen, there's a 3 unities discussed by Aristotle. So if you look at it, that drama is not a kind of narration where you will find out all the things have been narrated throughout and it has been narrated for a long time. Drama doesn't have this much time to explain. So exposition is the first stage which Freytag has mentioned in a plot. That is, exposition is a kind of an explanation of what happened before the play began and how the characters arrived at this particular present situation. The exposition explains all these things to us. In a simple words, you can say it is a kind of an introduction, that what is this play is all about, and how this play has began, and how this character reached to this particular stage. The prologue, or you can say the thing that happens before this is narrated or is appearing in front of us in exposition. And the play continues using a kind of suspense to build tension in the audience and characters, and develop a further pattern of rising action. That is the line going upwards. Rising action. It is going upwards. It is a kind of tension. It is a kind of suspense. It is a kind of conflict. Because plot depend on conflict between the characters. And this conflict developed a kind of suspense, a kind of tension between the characters. And this is what we call it as a rising action. This rising action always wonders the audience that what is going to happen and how this will be handled by the characters of the play. This rising action set the characters into motion, and then it watches as certain questions implied by the drama are answered by one. So it raises a kind of questions. It raises a kind of tense situations. It is having a conflict that is part of that particular drama. So rising action carries all those things in it. Now the third stage that Freytag discusses is about climax. Now we usually, as I said you earlier also, we usually mistake or misunderstand climax mean the end of that particular thing. No. Climax is the peak point, highest point, turning point. Because the action initiated in the rising action, in the rising phase, it reaches to such a point where the things have been revealed, things have been exposed, disclosed to the hero or to the major character of the play, and this turns the whole situation, this turns the whole conflict. And once the plot reaches to its climax, then the pattern of falling action starts, because now everything has been resolving, everything has been answered. So that is a falling action. This is the fourth stage of any plot. And the last stage of plot is, you can say, solution, conclusion, denouement. He used a word called denouement. D-E-N-O-U-E-M-E-N-T, denouement. There is a conclusion. If it is a tragedy, then the hero will die or hero will be punished. If it is a comedy, everything will be end with a happy note. So Freytag mentioned plot with these 5 stages. Especially if you see, my friends, denouement actually is a French word. It means outcome. So during the denouement, the playwright resolves any final or outstanding questions about the character's fate, or it may reveal a little bit about character's future after the resolution of the story. If you start to read a 5-act play, you will find out every act deals with every stage of plot in it. But if it is modern or postmodern writers, sometimes subvert the standard narrative and plot structure that Freytag's pyramid represents. So they change the whole understanding of Freytag's pyramid. So if you see that plot plays a very crucial role in making the action, or in explaining the action of the play with these 5 different stages that Freytag mentioned it. With the performance theorist Richard Schachner's open end and close end of the plot. So we can understand this idea of plot being one of the most and foremost element of drama. The second major element of drama is characters. And if you look at characters, friends, characters are the most important and most, you can say, relevant kind of element in drama. Because when the drama attains a characterization which makes a play, you can say, revelation of human conduct, and this is the only way that a playwright can able to have a say about human beings, what they feel, what they think. If you look carefully, the definition of characterization, if you want to understand it, actually characterization is also, or characters are also part of all sorts of narration, fiction, novel, story, Characters are there. What Aristotle in his Poetics argued, that tragedy is a representation of not of men, but of action and life. Now, how this action and life is coming in front of us, it is coming through the characters. The characters, they are simply making or building the character and try and explain the whole pattern with human behavior. If you look at characters in drama, those characters carry a kind of psychological stance with it. If you look at the characters are, you can say, who are instrumental in leading the whole action into further. What character and why character is so important and essential in understanding of any drama? Because if you see very carefully, my friends, drama usually speaks about the kind of characters. Drama talks about the whole story, where you will find out that is interwoven with the plot of that particular thing. Now, each character in a play has a personality of its own, and it has its set of principles and beliefs. Now, actors have to bear the responsibility of the characters to life, because characters are immortal and people know the characters. That is what Luigi Pirandello's 6 Characters in Search of an Author talks about. The main character in the play, the protagonist of the play, whom the audience identifies with, whom the audience can understand the whole story or whole action of the play, is because of this character. The character who is central in it is called as protagonist, and who is against him is called as antagonist. In simple words, villain, we can say. Some characters play active role in the story. They take story forward, ahead. And some characters appear only when the certain requirement of their character is there in the action. That means they don't have that much significant role to play in, but because of their presence, the story, the action cannot move ahead. Most of the times, the characters are of help in making audience to focus on the play's main theme. And the way in which the characters are portrayed, the way the character appeared in front of us, is known as characterization. Please understand the thing with you. The character portrayed and developed in the action, in the story, in the plot, is known as characterization. E.M. Forster in his Aspects of Novel mentioned 2 kinds of character: flat character, round character. Round character appears continuously throughout the play, but flat character ends with his entry and exit. So characters are those, or character is the kind of element which makes us to understand what exactly Drama deals about exactly that drama talks about. So, character is the second most important element of drama. The third most important element of drama is dialogue. Because how the narration is coming in front of us. If you look at drama, how this narration is coming in front of us. Nobody is coming and narrating us all the things. How we are knowing all those things? We are knowing all these things through the dialogues uttered by the characters. Look at how it is interwoven with one another. Action unfolds the whole things to us. Who unfolds these things? Characters unfold these things. How this unfolding is known to us? This unfolding is known to us through the dialogue. The dialogue is a verbal exchange between the characters. Since there is no description, since there is no commentary of the action, as you'll find out, this commentary is part of fiction or novel. There is no commentary. There is no elaborate explanation of that situation. Dialogue must tell the whole story. The person is telling that story to another person, which makes the audience to understand what is going on in this whole drama. There is a good, who is to be called as a good dramatist or good playwright? The one who revealed the characters with the advancing situation and introducing the theme with the use of dialogue. Because everything is disclosed, everything is appearing in front of us in the form of dialogue. Dialogue is spoken by one character to another, and other is responding to it. But there are 2-3 things we need to understand. Dialogue, log, L-O-G-U-E, is basically a Greek word. Log means to speak. Di means two. Dialogue, two persons speaking with each other. A common mistake we used to follow in our day-to-day talk or day-to-day life, that what a dialogue that character uttered, that character spoke, we always speak in that sense. Dialogue means there's a talk between two persons. Di to log, speech. Similarly, there is monologue. Mono means one, log means speech. One person is speaking. The monologue that is taking place. I am speaking and you are listening. This is a monologue. This is a kind of monologue we are following. One person is speaking and others are listening. This is another type of dialogue, log, you can say in play. Another important format is soliloquy. S-O-L-I-L-O-Q-U-Y. Soliloquy. Soliloquy, in which the character is trying to tell what is happening in his mind, what he is thinking about, what is going on in his mind. He wants to share it, and what he is thinking. Because if it is a film, it is simple in a film because of the technology. If you see in film, what is the character thinking about? It is shown that he's standing in front of a mirror and his image is speaking to him. In that way, you can understand that there is some sort of conflict going in between his mind. We used to say always that I'm in two minds. You sometimes speak to yourself. You sometimes speak to your own senses. You talk to you. how it is to be shown on the stage. So it is shown in the way of soliloquy, that the actor or the character will speak directly to the audience. He'll talk to the audience and share what he is thinking. Rest of the characters are supposed to stay freezed. They are not, although the words are going on in their ears, but they are not listening to it, what he's saying. He's only talking to the audience. That is what is called as soliloquy. So in dictionary of literary terms, you'll find out the major difference between soliloquy and monologue. Monologue everyone can hear. Soliloquy only audience can hear what is going, what the actor is, what the character is thinking, what is thinking all about. Characters, when they speak to each other, may well wish to each other, or generally they speak to themselves. They have no reason to say anything but the truth. That is what you call it as soliloquy, that telling truth to you. And that's why characters are always trying to tell us by the way of dialogue. The words they used, the accent, the tone, the pattern of speech, the pauses. The dialogue reveals the social status, family background. So if you see very carefully, dialogue is the only way through which the story or through which the plot can be revealed to the audience. There is one interesting setback after World War II. Samuel Beckett, when he wrote a play called Act Without Words, in that play, he did not write any kind of dialogue. Only the action and the movement makes the audience to understand that what is happening there. So somehow you can say Samuel Beckett tried to dysfunction this element of drama. The dialogue is not that much essential if you are talking of elements of drama. Now, after the dialogue, there is important element of drama that is called a setting. Setting, if you look at setting of drama, setting is, you can say, common to most of the stories narrated. Settings of a play or a drama includes many things. First, this term refers to the time and place in which the whole action is taking place. Second, it refers to the scenery or the physical elements that appear on the stage to vivify the author's stage directions. If you read the realistic playwright who used to point out everything in their stage directions, they specify, they pointed out everything in their narration. What is to be on the stage, what is to be kept on the stage, how the set should be, how it looks like. So setting refers to two kinds of things. One, it refers to time and place in which the action is taking place. And second, it refers to the scenery, the physical elements that are part of it. Sometimes you will find out, my friends, that settings used to explain the status of character. As you have seen, the dialogues, the way the actor utters the word, the character utters the word, shows his social status. Similarly, the settings also shows the social status of that particular character. What is the status of that character? What is the social background of the character? Now, these elaborate explanation of setting appeared in realistic drama. But if you look at the drama of Elizabethan period or of Greek period, you will find out setting, they are not explaining more about setting. They say palace. And you need to understand what kind of palace it would be. They are not telling you everything in detail. Because for them, setting refers to the first point that I mentioned. It refers to time and place. But for realistic drama, it explains about all the things that are kept on the stage. So for realistic drama, setting refers to, along with time and place, it also refers to the scenery, the physical elements that appears on the stage. We have seen 4 elements: plot, characters, dialogue, settings. Now, 5th element is movement. Now, you will have a query in your mind that says, how movement can be the element of drama? Because movement of the characters in the play makes us to understand that what exactly they are going to do. And that's why you'll find out in every drama, if you read the drama, there is in bracket exit, entry, enter. They write all those things into bracket. Because as we read stage directions, which informs us where the characters are and when they move, how they move, and perhaps even what the significance of their movement is. It was not elaborately mentioned in Elizabethan and Greek drama, but it was mentioned elaborately in modern plays. In modern plays, the author may give many directions for the action. Because this helps to use in performance. Sometimes it is said that this movement, the idea of the element of movement, is developed by the director. But often the text of the play gives hint to us that what kind of movement it would take. If you are saying something and then moving out of, if you are angry, suppose, and in anger you scold someone and you don't want to see his face, what will you do? Either you will ask him to get out of that place or you will leave that place. Now the whole dialogue, the way you say with your pauses, with the words which you are using, this whole utterance gives you sense that either you will leave or you will make this character to move out. So this movement is somehow, you will find out, my friend, is giving a kind of simple understanding to the audience that what would be the repercussions of this particular action. So movement is another important 5th element of drama. The 6th important element of drama is the theme. Now again, our students may have a big question mark in front of them. So then what is difference between theme and plot? Because we really write down the answer, write down the central theme of the novel or central theme of the poem, central theme of the drama, and then you write down the whole thing. Nowadays you are not writing, you are simply ticking up a multiple choice. That is the biggest drawback for the students of literature, that they are forgetting to write down. Please rehearse, my friends. theme. The theme of a play is its message. The theme of a play is its central concern. What is the play all about? Hamlet. What is Hamlet all about? Hamlet is a revenge taken by son of his father's killing, father's death. Theme. It is not plot. Plot is unfolding of events interconnected with each other. It is a simple concern. It is by no means a simple thing to decide, my friends, what a theme of a play is. It is not simple to define. It is not simple to understand. Because many plays concern many themes rather than single one. For example, Sophocles' very famous play Antigone. Antigone, I'll tell you within a minute about that story and then you can able to understand. Antigone is a play that is a second or sequel of Oedipus the King. As we have seen that Oedipus married with his mother, so he had three children. Antigone is one of them. So there is a quite big question mark in front of Antigone whether to call it as a father or a brother, what exactly is the relationship. So these children are not getting any place in the state. And in between, brother of Antigone died. So the king of that time never allowed them to bury in their land because they are the illicit children born out of illicit relationship between the parents. So Antigone fight against the state law and convince them to bury her brother into that particular land. So there is a conflict of, you can say, conflict between human law and law of gods. So Antigone wishes to honor the gods by burying her brother, but the law of Creon, the king of that time, decrees that he shall have no burial since her brother is traitor to the state. Now if you see, this is one theme of the play. Hamlet has various themes. One very elementary level main theme is revenge. But another theme is a corruption in Denmark. The third thing is the relationship of Hamlet with Ophelia. So many themes are coming together into it. Theme is a concern of that particular play. What that particular thing is talking about. So there are various themes. Those various themes concern of the play. So there are various themes coming together, making it as one particular action. So theme is not plot. Please understand it. Theme is not story. Theme is a concern of that particular plot. What is the concern of that particular plot? So there can be one theme, there can be many themes in one play. So in every play, my friends, the elements of drama will work differently. Sometimes giving us feeling that character is dominant over the theme or plot or over another character or setting or over all the elements. Ordinarily, critics believe that character, plot and theme are the most important elements of drama, while setting, dialogue and movement, they come next. But in each and every successful and best drama, you will find that it carries the proper balance of all the elements in it. So these 6 elements are the vital elements of drama. I hope that you got it what I want to say.